I was probably about 4 or 5 when my parents decided that it was time for me to stop sucking my thumb. If you have never sucked your thumb, you have no idea what a pleasurable and comforting experience this can be. You could compound this pleasure if, when the thumb of one hand was occupied, the other hand was engaged in hair twirling. Well, I was the youngest of 6 children, so my mother had had plenty of experience with thumb sucking. She said to me, "What reward would you like to stop sucking your thumb?" Well, we lived in a 3-bedroom house. My parents had transformed the dining room into a bedroom with my crib in there. And I was told that it was a 6-year crib. I was expected to stay there until I was 6 years old. So when the opportunity came for me to choose a reward, I chose a new bed of my own. Immediately I stopped sucking my thumb, and a new bed was installed in my parents' bedroom. It wasn't long after that my family began a series of home improvement projects. First, they finished the basement, creating 2 new bedrooms, a food storage room, a sewing room, and a odd-shaped room under the stairs with a child-sized door. I claimed this for my playroom and brought in my dolls and dishes. In order to keep me occupied while she was cooking, my mother had arranged for a whiteboard to be placed at the end of the cupboard underneath the counter. This was my approved space for writing on the wall with markers. Once again, I was the beneficiary of experienced parents. The next family improvement project was transforming our Spanish-style patio into a family room by enclosing it and roofing it over. For this to happen, we needed my Uncle Dale, who had some construction experience. He came with his wife and 9 children, and I found myself sleeping in the large room in the basement in a double bed with my sisters Donna and Joan. There was another double bed in the room and a single bed for my cousins Lucinda, Sharon, and Verla. This was not a happy time for me, as the cousins who were my age were boys, and my experiences had led me to avoid all contact with boys. It was during this difficult time that I began to suck my thumb again. On seeing this, my mother said, "We bought you a bed. Why are you sucking your thumb?" And then she answered her own question. But you're not sleeping in your bed anymore. What reward would you like to stop sucking your thumb again? Well, I answered immediately, a kitten. More about the kitten later. So one day, I went downstairs and found that my playroom, the dolls had been taken out and replaced with big buckets of wheat. My mother responded to my outrage at this theft by simply saying, "You are now too big to be playing there, and we needed that space." Well, I was not fooled. I was not too big to play there, and she just wanted to steal my space. But with my dolls in the sewing room, and my mother supplying me with fabric scraps, I soon began to design and sew dresses for my dolls. One day, I went upstairs to draw on the end of the counter. And my mother stopped me saying, "The whiteboard that was here has been removed. And it's now just a regular wall. And you know better now than to write on walls." Well, of course I knew better than to draw on the wall. But it had been such a wonderfully big canvas, and I didn't see how the kitchen was improved by having it gone. One day, I took a picture from a catalog of a toy oven that would actually heat up enough to bake cookies. I showed it to my mom, and she said, "There's no need for that. You can bake cookies and cakes in my oven anytime you want." The transition to adulthood had begun. As I recalled these and other childhood experiences, I had to admit that my growing up process had been carefully monitored by my mother. We were not allowed to linger for any length of time in any stage of play that was not exactly necessary. If I had to describe my mother with one word, it would be conscientious. Perhaps two words: brutally conscientious.